All right.
Hi, guys.
Are we live?
We are live.
Hi, guys.
We're back.
Yay. After a bit of a break.
After a little bit of a break, yes. All right, we are live. Okay.
Hey.
Hi, guys. We hope everyone is doing well, especially
Yes.
given all of the current situation. I feel like the lighting is a little bit off.
Is the lighting off? Okay, we'll
a
fix
little
it.
bit off.
So it's been a crazy couple of weeks, you guys.
Is
I
that
mean, it's
better?
been really, really crazy. That is better, I think. Is this better lighting, you guys? What do you think? I think it's better. But it's been a crazy couple of weeks. Especially since the election. We were really lucky because we were on vacation and we really had a good time. So we were thinking about you guys.
So as you guys know, we went on vacation with the family and with the dogs, and it was a very, very, very much needed. Spent a lot of time in nature, so that was very, very nice.
So we went to Southern Oregon, and it was so fun because we basically left California, and when we literally woke up in the morning, dropped our ballots off first thing in the morning, and then we drove straight to Oregon. And it was so nice because we...
Hi, Ting.
Hi, Ting.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
And Ember.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Ember.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you, Lynn. It's so nice to be back home.
So as you guys know, we have a lot to talk about. We have to get into the elections. We felt like we needed to bust out our big
drink this time.
Our big drink this time. Do you have your straw?
No, where is my... Oh, oops. There we go.
So we have our big drink. We have lots and lots to discuss today.
It is so good.
Yes.
So good. We just added a whole bunch of berries in there. Did a fun little lemonade.
It's quite the drink.
Yes, quite heavy. We'll do better this time and try to drink it in faster than a week.
Okay.
So yeah, we left California. It was so special because...
Hi, Miss Hotness.
Hi, Miss Hotness. Good to see you back. The lighting is very hot. I suggest a stairs and a deeper ring with a little to no practical.
Love it.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, we left California. It was pretty much summer. It was like 70 plus degrees.
Yeah.
The day we left. And it was so nice because we basically arrived to Oregon. It was pretty warm the first day we got there, but then it was just the most beautiful, gorgeous, golden fall. I mean, the leaves were just everywhere.
Absolutely beautiful. We actually posted some photos up on Instagram.
We did.
It was gorgeous because it went from fall to winter. It started snowing. So that was very magical, actually.
It was really special because we
Yeah.
really got a chance to we got summer, we got fall, we got winter, and the fall was like a real fall. And you know, the people who live in the Midwest, the people who live in the Pacific Northwest or the Northeast, you guys know what a real beautiful fall is.
Yeah.
California, you know, states of California, Arizona, Nevada, you know, we don't have really nice falls so much here.
Well, I mean, in Northern
There's
California
areas,
towards
yeah.
Tahoe area.
There's
That's
areas.
It's gorgeous.
But it was so nice to see it. I mean, it was just gorgeous.
It was very, very nice.
And of course, our doggies loved it too. So, yeah. So basically, we left on Tuesday. First thing in the morning, we just dropped off
actually, right after Halloween. I don't know if you guys saw, we posted on Instagram our Halloween. We really wanted to experiment this year.
We really did.
First time actually doing something scary. So that was an experience. That was a journey.
You guys, I mean, I literally I had red veins going down my eyes, blood coming out of my mouth. It was crazy. And the craziest thing too, so we went to my sister's house, and you know, she had a really small get together, and it was just so crazy because we showed up and I realized everyone is really staring at me and not talking to me, which, you know, normally they would, and everyone's just acting so weird towards me. And I was really like saddened by it. I really was. And it wasn't until the end of the night that I realized like no one really knew who I was. And literally no one had an idea who I was. That's how like different the makeup was. So it was so fun. So fun to do it.
Oh, I think you have a little bit of lipstick on your teeth.
Again?
We're having some makeup issues. A little bit of lipstick on the teeth
Okay.
today.
All right. Thank you.
So we wanted to also do an update before we get in and talk about the elections. I have noticed that a lot of people who are leaving Facebook, leaving Instagram due to the documentary, The Social Dilemma that's on Netflix, also too with the lawsuit with Candace Owen. So a lot of people are jumping ship, a lot of people are leaving social media, a lot of people are moving to Parler. Just to let you guys know, we have been on Parler since 2018.
Zane used to be actually really active on Parler too, and
Yeah.
has quite a bit of following on Parler.
I have the badge. They have a social influencer badge on Parler.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Zane is a social influencer.
on Parler, whatever that means. But over on Parler, you guys can find us there if you guys are leaving Facebook or Instagram. But I also wanted to say we have decided to do a House of DMaaj newsletter. That's very exciting. So just in case if you guys are unplugging from social media and you do want to keep up with all things House of DMaaj, you guys can sign up for our newsletter.
Yeah, basically, so this is kind of what to make a long story short, we'll talk about it more in detail later, but it seems like we're entering an era where there's going to be...
Hi, V. Parker!
Hi, V. Parker!
And Cher!
And
Hi,
Cher!
Cher!
Hi!
Sorry.
No, it's good. And I also want to say how cool, look, John McJunkin,
Yes.
his cousin Harris is there, and he's watching with him.
Oh!
Which is so cool. Because
Hi,
Harris
John's
is only
cousin.
16. Hi, Harris. Hi, so glad you're watching. So, yeah, basically, you know, we're obviously after the election, and we'll talk about all of it, but it seems like we're probably moving in the direction of, you know, more banning, more control, and so...
Even when we posted going live, and we were going to talk about election,
crazy.
We were already... I wouldn't say necessarily.
We were already flagged. Yeah.
I wouldn't say necessarily flagged. We were already like marked of like saying like Joe Biden has been determined as the winner. Blah 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 blah. So it's we've already were dealing with censorship before the election, and now after the election, it seems like the censorship has even gone up even more. So,
and I think it's only going to go up. So we're just like, okay, we don't know how long we're going to have on YouTube. Hopefully, like everything's going to be fine, and we're just being extra cautious and paranoid. But we have no idea. Literally, we have no idea what's going to happen because, as we keep saying, you know, we're kind of like nobodies. We're really small fish.
Right.
And basically, we know quite a bit of people that YouTube went after because they weren't as careful. And basically, they try to take away like small fish right away. Hi, Elizabeth. They try to kind of get rid of small fish right away because so that they won't have people listening to them. And so we don't know if it's going to be coming towards us or not. We're trying to be really careful with what we say.
Yeah, Ting, like you said, the first step to communication is to control the media.
That's communism.
Excuse me, communism. That is exactly that's exactly true. That's exactly the situation. So, I mean, to be honest, I mean, the very first videos that we came out with, we were already automatically shadow banned. And so we've kind of been struggling with it, you know, since the beginning of us launching our YouTube channel. So we thought the best way to, I guess, combat it
Hi, Noella. Thank you so much for the compliment.
Oh, thank you.
Complimented us about our hair and makeup. Thank you. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
So we thought the best way to go about it is to create a newsletter so you guys can be updated on all things House of DMaaj. You'll be updated on House of DMaaj things that I come out on my channel, things that you will eventually come out on your channel, video game updates.
Also, it's kind of cool. So I wrote this article for I wrote this article for this special blog. They asked me to write an article for them. And then I guess they decided not to publish it. It's more of a political reason why they decided not to publish it. So I've been sitting on this article and I literally didn't know what to do. I thought it was a pretty cool article and it got a lot of really good responses. And so I was just like, I wanted to share it with people. So we figured we'll share it in the newsletter. So it's not like a full-on massive newsletter. It's just like little things. Every once in a while, like I'll write something. It'd be nice to share it with you guys. Yeah. I'd love to write. Zane loves to write. So just kind of things like that every time we update something.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you guys want to sign up for the newsletter, go over to houseofdemaj.com/stay up to date. You can also find that in the description box of this live video, and you just click on the stay up to date button. I'm having a hard time talking. And then you just click on that and type in your email, and then boom, done. That's it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm so sorry. I have to read this. John, Harris, this is so cool. Hi, I'm living with my cousin Johnny and his wife Debbie, going to Central High School. Totally super fan of both of yours.
Aww.
My parents never understood me being drag, now living here. Oh, how cool. Wow. Gosh, and John and Debbie, like, how incredible of you guys. This is really, really, really cool. So welcoming and so accepting. And I'm so glad that Harris, you found a home and a place. And
yeah.
Hopefully, welcome to the House of DMaaj family. Yeah. This is really, really cool. I love that.
I love it.
Especially, I love, obviously we love everyone, but especially when young people are engaged, that really means so much to us.
Oh, thank you, Cher.
Oh my goodness, thank you. What do you think, what do you all think about the Million Mega March tomorrow? I wish that I could attend, but my schedule won't let me. I know. We really wish we could attend as well. Basically, listen, this is what I think is happening. Clearly, I don't know if, there's clearly election fraud going on. That's a given, right? And it's indisputable. It's there's facts. There was even election fraud going on before the actual election on Tuesday. So, and there's many reported cases, and I don't know why the media is ignoring this and why they're just pretending like it's not existing. I mean, I do know, and we can all have a really good guess. What I find most interesting is look at what you're asking us, right? You're asking us, what do we think of the Million Mega March, right? Like how incredible it is to have all these people who are marching for the sake of, supporting a president for the sake of having fair elections, right. Fighting for their principles, for their ideals, all of those incredible things. Meanwhile, all of the major cities in the U.S. had to board up their storefronts, all of the businesses, in case Biden loses, because they were expecting looting and rioting.
San Francisco, Beverly Hills,
everywhere,
New York,
right? And so you have to ask yourself, like, this is something that made me personally really, really proud, and I hope it makes you guys all proud as well. When Trump lost, according to what the numbers are saying now, and when Trump lost, a lot of us just wanted a recount. A lot of us want, even if election fraud is not on a large enough scale to where it's going to change the outcome of the election, we still want it checked out, because these are just, this is the beginning layers of what is going to happen in the future elections if we don't take care of this now. Election fraud happens every election. It's inevitable. But what happens is now it's becoming on a grander and grander scale. And finally, we have a president that's really not afraid to go there and fight for it. Again, whether he's successful or not, whether he's successful in overturning the results or not, that's a completely different conversation. But he's fighting for us, and he's fighting for the integrity of the election. And what's happening is all of these people are supporting him, and they're doing it in a peaceful, protesting, supportive way, as opposed to rioting and looting. And that's something that makes me so incredibly proud to call myself a conservative, call myself a Trumper, a Republican, put all those, things on there. I'm so incredibly proud of myself and of my fellow patriots for this. Because I know for a fact, literally for a fact, had Trump lost, a lot of the liberals that I know and people that I see on Facebook would have been, the first ones to riot if Trump would have won the election. And that is a huge difference. So I think in that sense, you know, that Million Mega March, it's given me a lot of hope. And there's so many good reasons to be hopeful because of everything that happened. And, you know, we'll obviously go over everything and we'll talk about all of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just want to say hi to Donna and Susan.
Hi, Donna. Hi, Susan.
And I also want to say hi to
DJ Jello Perez.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Yeah. Wow. Jello Perez, what kind of music do you do? I'm curious. Hi, Amber and Susan. Oh, I love it. So, this is actually, Susan, you made such a great point. And I'm going to read it. And by the way, the reason why we read a lot of the points, because I know it must sound redundant to everyone that's actually participating in the chat, but it's for the people who are going to watch this afterwards, because they might not be able to read the chat, so we just want them to know what we're responding to. But Susan had such a great point, and she said what will be sad is when it's all said and done and the fraud proves that Trump actually won, with virtually no media coverage, it will definitely cause civil unrest. And the thing is, you are absolutely right.
Unfortunately.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
And think of what's happening, right? We just wrote down, hey, we're having a YouTube page talking about the election, YouTube Live, talking about the election results, not pushing one agenda or another immediately, just because we said, you know, the word election. You know, there's a notice, we get flagged, Biden is the winner, and basically if you go against this notion, you will get removed. Same thing with all of the media outlets. By the way, the media outlets don't get to call who becomes president, right? That's not how it works. And in a close election, that would never be the case. And if the shoe was on the other side, you know that none of the media outlets would call this a win for Trump. So, you know, what's happening is so many people who are watching, you know, CNN, MSNBC, all of these other news organizations, including even Fox News, are basically watching this and seeing Biden as it's a complete fact that he won. And what I'm seeing from a lot of my liberal friends is, you know, Trump is throwing a tantrum, baby tantrum, you know, he's refusing to leave office, you know, he's an authoritarian dictator, you know, he's going to get the military involved, he's doing this because he has debts, and, you know, he's trying to cover his debts. I mean, all these conspiracy theories as to why Trump is doing this. And the sad reality is when you look at Georgia, when you have like, you know, fewer than 15,000 votes, you look at Arizona where you have like 11,000 votes, right? You look at all these states where you have very few you have not a large number of votes that's separating both candidates. And you have to ask yourself, how many hundreds, maybe thousands potentially people, you know, dead people voted? Because we know that's the case. We know there's dead people who vote. That's, you know, that's undisputable. There's
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Justin.
And hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Justin. And by the way, Justin, just want to tell you, thank you so much last time. We did have a drink and we all toasted to you. So I just wanted to tell you, it didn't go unnoticed. It was really fun.
I'm kind of curious, who else brought snacks and a drink?
Oh, yes. Where's my straw? Oh, there it is. Did anyone else bring snacks and drinks? Speaking of drinks, Justin, this one's for you.
We didn't fill it up all the way because we know we're not going to be able to finish it. Okay.
We'll have it forever afterwards. So, you know,
cheers, everyone.
Cheers, yeah. So I'm just like, I'm watching this from the side, and what I'm realizing
I love it. Lane brought her a smoothie.
Go, Lynn. Yes, all right.
Jenny.
Okay. Beer and nuts. Nice. Love it, Ting. Looks good to me. Cheers. Cheers, cheers,
everyone.
I love it. Yeah, well, and this is the thing, Lynn. Radio stations are playing all the news with Biden clips as though he's already won. And here's the reality. Most likely, he did win. Most likely. Because there's certain margins in some of the states that are too large to overcome. So I think there is a possibility that Trump will win. Fingers crossed. I'm really hoping he does. But the problem is that if he does win, he's going to win because it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Now, in the Supreme Court, he's nominated, Justice Kavanaugh. He's nominated Justice Gorsuch, and he's nominated Amy Barrett. And now what's going to happen is that if it does actually end up going to the Supreme Court, what we're going to end up seeing, and if the election results do get overturned and Trump somehow ends up winning, which I really, really hope he does, that's just going to make him that much more of an illegitimate president. He's already illegitimate for the first 4 years because, Hillary Clinton didn't win and he lost the popular vote. Now, this is going to make him that much more illegitimate, and I think that's why the media is pushing this so hard, because they want to make this a done deal. They want to make this a fact, like a done fact, done deal, where there's really nothing that can be done because the societal pressure is going to be so high on the court, on the people, and basically, if this somehow does get overturned, this is going to be one of those legacy moments in Judge Barrett's history for the rest of her life. And she's going to be viewed as an illegitimate Supreme Court justice. Yeah. So I'm not even sure. I don't know how she would vote. In that sense, she seems like a woman of integrity to me. Oh, yeah. So I would assume she would vote based on what the Constitution and the principles say. Yeah. But again, this is just really messy. All around, really, really messy. And I do think the media is doing a huge disservice to the American people, but they've been doing it for 4 years. So
they've been doing it longer than 4 years.
Longer than 4 years, yeah.
Definitely 4 years has been a journey.
It's just been crazy. It's been really, really crazy. So, look, win or lose, it really doesn't matter because Trump basically completely reshaped and reformed what the Republican Party stands for. Definitely. He's completely reshaped and reformed what conservatism means, right? When Ronald Reagan came to office, he basically really changed the ideal of what conservatism is all about. Yeah. And he was really successful at it. And it's really interesting because, when Trump came into power, there was so many Republicans who were anti-Trumpers. And now he actually increased his vote share among Republicans. He's completely changed what the idea of conservatism is. And yes, Biden got, a historic amount of votes, more than any other candidate in American history. But Trump got more votes than any other president in American history, including Barack Obama, which is, huge. I mean, to all the people who thought this election was going to be a repudiation of Trump's policies, basically it wasn't. This election turned out to be, and this is, I think, something that the media will not talk about, this election turned out to be a repudiation of Trump's response to the Chivi. Yeah. Basically, that's what it is. It's Trump's response to Chivi that, cost him the election for the most part. Otherwise, he would have been reelected by historic margins, most likely. And I think that is what's so sad, right? It's this one miscalculation caused them so much, and ultimately it's going to cost a lot to our country as well for not having him as president. Yeah. So, yeah.
Hi, Starry Night.
Hi, Starry Night. Hi. Oh, Latinos from Trump. Love it. Very, very cool. Since the escalators. Love it. And I also love what Kimberly Rich says. I will always love Trump for the fact that he is the only individual that ran for president with a pro-gay marriage platform, and he showed how hypocritical the far left can be. And he did. He really, really did. And I think that's why he actually had historic gains with the LGBT community. Actually, he's had historic gains with just about every single population. Yes. Right? It's very unfortunate because so many people did come out and vote. I mean, that was a good thing that a lot of people voted, but it's very unfortunate that he lost so much of the white vote, to Biden, because he actually, in terms of minorities, he did really, really well.
He really did.
He's actually surpassed, his black vote share surpassed any Republican running for president since the 1980s. Think about that, guys. I mean, that's 40 years. 40 years, and Trump, right? The most racist president in history. Trump is the one that gets a higher share of the black vote than any president since 1980. I think that's incredible.
That is incredible.
That's really incredible. Yeah. Same thing with Latinos, by the way. Yeah. Really high share of the Latino vote, increased his vote, actually increase it with women as well. And I have a whole list of statistics. Well, I'll read it off in a few. But yeah, I think it's incredible. I think it's really incredible.
It definitely is.
So, yeah, do we have anything else we wanted to go over?
No? I think we're good. If you're just joining us now, just update. If you want to stay up to date with us, we have a newsletter. Go over to houseofdemaj.com/stay up to date. Type in your email address, and you will get notified on all things House of DMaaj.
Yeah. Not all the time. Every once in a while, like
whenever there's new updates.
Whenever there's new updates, it could be whenever. So yeah. Anyway, this is my kind of take of everything that was happening, right?
I really like your comment.
Let's see. Agreed. My grandmother warned me about the stages of communism since I was a little girl. We have to win this election. Ting, I absolutely agree with you. And okay, so here's the thing, right? My mother, who came from the Soviet Union, which is now Russia, and she actually escaped back in the 70s when Jews were kind of the first people who were allowed to leave the USSR, for their own safety. Basically, Jews got special permissions to leave the USSR. She was able to escape, and she ended up escaping to Israel. She remembers communism and socialism as something that really was very heavy for her entire family, right? Not just for her immediate family, but for everyone. They all suffered under it. We were just watching this show the other day. I forgot what it's called. The one where if Hitler won the World War II. What is it called?
Man in the High Castle.
Man in the High Castle.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
So we were just watching the show the other day, and I was just seeing what's happening and how the Nazis are coming into people's homes and arresting them without any due process and everything that's happening. And that's basically what my parents experienced, literally. I mean, my dad was, we talked about this before, my dad was jailed, had both of his arms broken just because he advocated the right of Jews, to leave and go to Israel. My mom had a lot of difficulties as well, being Jewish in that country. I'm not worried necessarily that, my rights as a Jew are going to be taken away. Definitely not under Trump, a little more under Democrats, ironically. That's really funny. But what really worries me...
Hilarious,
yeah.
Laugh riot.
What really worries me is that I'm seeing us moving towards McCarthyism. And, what my parents experienced back when they were children is literally your neighbors would just go missing one day. You see your neighbor one day, you say hello, and then you don't see him for a couple of days. You ask the wife or the husband what happened, and they're like, gone. That's it. It's a very scary situation. Now, we are very far away from it here in the U.S., for sure. But, when you have people that are actual representatives, of their constituents saying that now it's time to take up, names and numbers. Now it's time to remember all those people that supported Trump. That's what becomes really scary. And that's why I'm so heartwarmed with the fact that most likely Republicans are going to have a pretty nice and comfortable majority in the Senate. And not to mention all the gains that they did in the House. I mean, that's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
That's really incredible.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing that we learned, it's basically, Trump lost, most likely because of his handling of the pandemic, which is really, really sad.
Also, too, what I'm hearing is a lot of people are saying because of the first debate as well.
And B, yes.
The first debate, that was a very disappointment for a lot of people.
I think the first debate, to be honest with you, I think he would have been able to overcome his handling of Chivi. I think where he came up short was the first debate. And if you guys remember, I defended him and I said, he did what he had to do. Thank you. He said he did what he had to do, but ultimately the reality is, I think that first debate really, really hurt him because that really cemented it. There were already so many fewer independents and so many fewer undecideds this election cycle compared to the last election cycle. And with that debate, it's just most of them went towards Biden. And the second debate, a lot less people watched. And not to mention, it was really great, the second debate, but it was the second half which even less people watched. So he really wasn't able to fully come back from that. And I think that's extremely unfortunate. Of course, seeing, every day, coming up to the election, new records, 100,000 new, cases of Chivi, 100,000 new cases of Chivi, and most of those cases literally amount to nothing, maybe a sniffle, for the most part. It didn't matter, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to do one little more. There we go.
Thank you.
I see it caught in your eyelash.
Hi,
Zara.
Hi, Zara. A debate is an argument, and he had to ask the questions that the stupid moderator wasn't asking. Zara, I completely agree. He had to do it, and that's why I think he did such an incredible job in the first debate, because if you remember, he asked all those questions in the second debate. Who built the cages, Joe?
Yeah.
All of those, really great cages. What about fracking, Joe? What about oil? What about this? What about that, Joe?
Yeah.
Name one name, Joe. Just give us one name, Joe. All of those things, he did a really, really fabulous and great job. Unfortunately, in the first debate, not only did he ask the questions he needed to ask, he also didn't let Joe the opportunity to answer. And had he given him the opportunity to answer, I think we would have seen Joe really, really stumble quite a bit, because he doesn't have the stamina. He simply doesn't have the stamina.
No.
So
and that's why he wanted breaks.
Yeah, and that's why he wanted breaks, exactly. So here's the thing, right? It's really interesting. Obviously, we were all expecting some kind of a refutation of the Trump administration with a huge margin loss, and huge gains for the Democrats. In reality, that did not happen. As a matter of fact, Never Trumpers are literally nobodies at this point. The Lincoln Project had huge losses. Turned out to be a total flop, which I'm so happy about. Trump did so well among Republicans that he's actually gained 6 points, 6 percentage points since the last election, just among Republicans, which I think is incredible. I'm sure you guys all heard about the statistics of, he did 6 points better with black men than he did before, which, think about it this way. 6 points, that means that he got 19% of the black vote, of the black men vote. 19%. I mean, think about it. He was at 13% in 2016, 19% at 2020. And when you're talking about, he's running against not just Hillary Clinton, he's running against, Biden, the vice president of the very first African-American president in American history. And he's actually increased his black vote share. I think that's incredible, and if anything, I think that what Trump proved, whether he comes back in 2024 or doesn't, and
that's another thing that they've been talking about.
Yeah, potentially him coming back. What do you guys? Do you guys like?
Have you? First of all, have you guys heard this?
Yeah, have you guys heard about him wanting to come back in 2024? Would you guys be happy if he came back? Because I don't. My take is.
I mean, a lot can happen in 4 years.
And to be honest with you, I highly doubt he will come back in 4 years. I really don't think so. I think if he will, he probably will win, and I think he's going to win both the nomination and potentially the presidency. But there's so much, so much time will pass until then. Who knows what's going to happen?
Oh yeah.
But whether or not he comes back or not, he literally showed the roadmap for Republicans on how to approach minorities and how to gain their trust and votes. Because the reality is that the Republicans have been leading these votes for so long, and it didn't matter how much they try to appease them. It just did not matter. They were bleeding these votes, election after election cycle.
Justin says yes, but also open to another Trumpist
candidate. Absolutely, Justin. That's how I feel. Yes and yes, but I would be open to another Trumpist candidate.
Yes, there's also news that he wants to open his own news.
Yeah, well, Starry Night says he should start. And actually, Starry Night, so apparently there's reports that are saying that he's considering starting his own network, which could also be part of the reason why he's fighting this in courts, because he's basically trying to stay really engaged with his followers. And, if a lot of his followers are going to feel like there's a huge injustice done towards him, then it's very possible that his network would get phenomenal ratings, because they would want to, hear him and listen. And I know a lot of conservatives actually really disappointed by Fox News. And the way Fox News has handled themselves in the last election cycle, and just in general in the last 4 years, kind of a little bit disappointing.
And then hotness. You said 2024 you would like to see Nikki Haley.
Yes! Okay, I love Nikki Haley. Absolutely love Nikki Haley. So that was basically my hope. My hope was obviously, you know, Trump winning, 2024, we get Nikki Haley. I really love her. I think she is fabulous. I also think it would be great if Biden can hold on for the next 4 years. You know, fingers crossed. I really hope he can hold on for 4 years so that we don't get a Harris president. And I think it would be really cool and special if Nikki Haley becomes the first Indian American to be president. And here's the sad thing too. Trump actually enjoyed really huge support among Indian Americans. And you know, there's a huge Indian American population in the Midwest. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania has a big Indian population. And so picking Harris was really a strategic move. A, because she's half black. Biden needed the black vote, which is very exciting because it did not help, which I think is fantastic because it really shows that after Barack Obama, a decent sized portion of the black electorate is no longer willing to vote based just on race. It was historic and it was exciting to see the first black president, but now they want to vote based on issues, and just because there is a black person on the ticket is not enough to, you know, it's not enough basically, and I think that's fantastic. But it did help with the Indian American population because they ended up getting something close to like 70% or above 70% of the Indian American vote, which again, you know, there's a massive Indian American population in America that we don't talk about so much, but I think we're going to start hearing about them as an electorate group in the next election, probably, most likely, definitely. And I think we're going to start hearing about them more and more, you know, in the next, I would say within the next 4 years.
Yeah, Lynn also says Dan Crenshaw, and then DJ also says Candace Owens.
Candace Owens, 2020. Well, Candace Owens, I think, would be too young to run in 2024. Isn't she like 28, 29 right now? So I think you have to be 35.
Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
she's really
She's
young.
so young.
Oh. So and she would be too young, but maybe Candace Owens, you know, 20, I don't know, 28, maybe 2032. I'd love to see a Candace Owens in like 2032. I'd like to see her more seasoned.
Kimberly saying Candace should run for Senate.
Yes,
I
agree.
that.
Would love that.
Would love that.
Candace should run for Senate. However, I'm not. Where does she live now?
I think she moved to.
She moved to Tennessee, so she would have a chance in Tennessee. She would definitely have a chance in Tennessee. So who knows? Maybe Candace.
Who knows?
2022.
Running
for Senate.
Would love it.
Yeah, it'd be because she just moved to Tennessee. I think you need a year in order to be a resident. I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
If he start Apprentice president to be show, that'd be so fun. Oh my God, I would love for Trump to start the Apprentice president show. That would be really,
love that
really
idea,
cool.
team.
Yeah. You know, Ted Cruz was sounding quite presidential. I just don't think it's enough. I think when it comes to Ted Cruz, Donna, I think he had his moment, and I think that moment is gone. And I just don't see Ted Cruz being able to pull it off. He almost lost his own re-election battle in Texas, you know, a couple of years ago. And he ended up beating Beto O'Rourke by 2 points in Texas. And yes, you know, people are talking about how Texas is turning more and more blue, but that was way too close to call. And I think in general, he, unfortunately, because I really think it should be based on issues, but unfortunately, he just doesn't have the charisma that's necessary. He has a really huge base of support among evangelical and highly religious Christians and other religious groups, but it's just not enough, unfortunately, I think, for Ted Cruz to pull it off. So I definitely don't think it would be him. I could see someone like a Nikki Haley. I think she would have a fantastic job, a fantastic opportunity. I could see someone like Marco Rubio. I could see any one of the Trump kids, you know, Junior or Ivanka would be great as well. I don't see Ivanka running, but maybe Trump Jr. I think he would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
That guy is sharp.
Yes.
So I would love to see him run. And honestly, I don't think it's ever going to happen. But I am a huge fan of Lindsey Graham. I'm a huge fan of him. So, and especially, I think here's a guy with balls. I mean, he has cojones. Because here's a guy who went against Trump. I mean, do you guys remember the harsh words he had for President Trump? I mean, he went all out. It was really hard during the primaries. And when Trump won, he was very cautiously, got behind him. Mm-hmm. But when he saw what Trump does when it comes to issues, mm-hmm. he defended him, stuck up for him. Yeah. He was there for him. I mean, the guy was just really impressive. I was beyond happy to see what he did during the last 4 years. I think it's incredible, and I'm so happy he got reelected too.
Oh, definitely.
So Lindsey Graham, I don't see him winning. Again, it has to do with like gravitas and just that charisma, which unfortunately he doesn't have. And in today's world, it's just so necessary. It's necessary to have that charisma and that gravitas, and he just doesn't have it. So, but I would love, I would be very happy with a Lindsey Graham presidency, especially seeing how his positions are so similar to Trump's and how much he supported him. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah. I love Kimberly's comments. Thank you, Kimberly. That's very flattering.
Oh my God, I love it. That's really flattering, Kimberly. When are you two going to take over politics? Oh my God, I love it.
And then Miss Hotness.
When we will see House of DMaaj running for city, state, or federal seats. Oh my goodness.
President Ariel.
President Ariel, yeah, well, that's not possible, but
unfortunately,
yeah. No, honestly, to be honest with you, I love politics. Like, I live, breathe, sleep, eat politics. I love it. It's a hobby. I was into politics when I was a kid, literally.
Yeah.
Elementary school. I just loved it. And when I was in high school and college, I was super active and went to all these, conferences, and I just met all these like senators, and I find it so fascinating. And again, I really love politics because, if you're into politics, you could see how quickly you can really make changes and how quickly you could change, things and things for people's lives.
Yeah.
And if you're not into politics, then it moves slow enough to where you think it doesn't ultimately really matter. I think now with media, it's, that perception is starting to change. But I think politics is really special. We live in a very liberal place, and I don't think my positions would be very popular with where we live, unfortunately. So, yeah.
Justin, I love your support. Thank you so much.
Yes, Justin. All right. It'd be fun. Who know? You know what? Maybe we should do. I mean,
never say never, right?
Yeah, never say never. I mean, people like. I think the last time we had like.
It would be the first Republican drag queen.
The first Republican drag queen. Can you guys imagine? I mean, oh my goodness, that would be hilarious. So, who knows? I think last time, not this election, but it was the last election for governor in California. I think there was like, I don't know, like 600 people running, or. Definitely more than 100. I don't remember what the exact number was, but like it was in the hundreds, and obviously a lot of them just ran for for fun, for giggles. So
who knows?
Who knows? Maybe it'd be like a fun thing to do with just like people.
Yeah,
I think
I love that. Oh, Elizabeth, thank you so much for your support on my walk away video.
Yeah, wow.
If you guys don't know, I did a follow-up, a 2-year follow-up for my walk away video. I did a short little segment on House of DMaaj, and then I watched the whole entire video and kind of reacted to it, to your guys' comments and questions over on my Zane channel.
I thought it was really good. It's a bit long. It's about an hour and a half. But that's because, Zane is literally rewatching the.
And then after I was done watching it and reacting to it, I was like, oh, I forgot to talk about this and that and this. Oh my goodness! It could have ended up being like a 5-hour video.
I love it. And the last California governor election really was a joke. So yeah, okay. I just have to drop off the Army and the biggest fan of podcasts in the background during conference calls. Ooh, Miss Hotness, wow. All right, yeah, definitely. Did not know you were in the Army. How cool. Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Wow, that's really cool. So yeah, and Justin says he loved the video as well. How cool.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
for watching it.
Sometimes, just to let you guys know, when I'm looking down at the screen, my contacts are like they're flipping out right now. They're inverting or whatever. Yeah, because I have makeup underneath them, so I'm having a hard time reading right now.
So we're trying to keep it
short.
And I talk a lot, so I have a hard time keeping up with the comments, but we're trying. So okay.
I say let's take a drink before we move on.
Yes, let's do it.
If you guys have your drink, and if you guys want to take a drink with us,
let's all take a drink. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Strawberry. It's just so good.
This is blueberries, strawberries, and
what's raspberries?
No raspberries.
Oh, cherries. No?
Blueberries and strawberries.
And strawberries. Very nice. It's delicious. It's really delicious.
It's refreshing.
Okay, so here's the things that I'm really, really, really excited about. Okay, let's start. Okay, I am. Oh, thank you, Justin. Thank you. So we make a good team. We do make a good team. Okay, so here's what I'm beyond really excited about. We talked about the fact that Trump did really well with Republicans, which basically means that Republicans are fully behind Trump. I think last time he got 88% of the Republican vote. Now it's 94. So it's pretty much unanimous when it comes to Trumpism. And what it means is that now the party cannot distance itself from Trump because he's so popular within the party. So they can't distance themselves. They have to take up the positions that he took and basically continue on his legacy until a new person such as Trump comes to power from the Republican Party. Last time that happened was basically Ronald Reagan. He was the last person to change what it means to be conservative and a Republican. It was a new brand of republicanism. And now Trump created it. And that's something that makes me very hopeful and very appreciative because he really worked hard at it. Really, really worked hard at it.
Definitely.
And if you guys remember, he used to be called, fake Republican,
Yeah.
Rhino, all of those, all of those crazy whatever things. So that's basically something that I'm very excited about. We talked about the fact that black men, Trump got 6% more of the black men. The reason why this is so big is because this election saw historic record levels of turnout. So it's not just that he got 6% more. It's the fact that so many more people voted for him. If Trump actually got the same number of people, the same number of black men to vote for him in the previous election, his percentage would be not in the 19% of black men. It would be closer to 30%, which is just an astronomical number for a Republican.
Oh yeah.
Running for any office.
Oh yeah.
To get. And so I think for Republicans, if they want some kind of a roadmap of what to do in order to attract minority votes, following Trump's footsteps is what it is. And the thing is, the media is basically going to scream up and down that Republicans are racist, homophobes, all of these other things, because they're seeing the numbers move in Republicans' direction, and I think they don't want that to happen.
Oh yeah, no.
So as more and more minorities are going to look elsewhere and actually start looking around and look at other Republican candidates, the Republican Party, and conservatism in general, you're going to start hearing more and more louder voices about how racist, conservatives and Republicans are, which is outrageous. And that's why we do need another network, and hopefully Trump does one, so that we can have, something else to choose. Because, Fox News is not enough. It's just one network out of a sea of a whole bunch of liberal networks.
Yeah.
And by the way, also, we talked about Fox News and, how they have changed the course of how they're reporting in the last election and just in the last 4 years. And the thing is, a lot of conservatives are really angry about it and really upset about it. But I'm not holding it against them because I also realize that they're in the business of making money. And what happens is that I think in general, liberals and progressives are much more likely to boycott companies and institutions and boycott financially in order to avoid...
Oh, thank you, Kitty.
Kitty!
Hi,
Oh,
Kitty
Demure.
Demure.
Hi, Kitty! Thank you! Oh, how exciting! How exciting to have you join us! Wow, I love it! Hi, guys. So glad to see you still fighting. Our community needs to continue speaking and being leaders for the rest of the community is waking up and rest who are scared to come out.
Wow. Thank you, Kitty Demure. If people don't know who Kitty Demure is, check out her YouTube channel. She's also another drag queen, conservative drag queen.
Yes, and Kitty Demure actually has a really cool walk away video as well. And she's gorgeous too. Really gorgeous. Does a lot. You guys wanted us to do. Yeah, you guys wanted us to do makeup tutorials. Kitty is incredible when it comes to makeup.
Yes.
And she has a really cool...
And she does them live, too.
She does them live, yeah, which is really gutsy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she also has a character, Hagatha, which is hilarious. It's this, feminist, lesbian, dyslexic, questioning, or whatever character. And it's so funny. So funny. And
so make sure to check her out, Kitty Demure and Hagatha.
Yeah, definitely. We'll even post the link or something to.
Yeah,
to
well,
Kitty's.
after this is over, we'll post a link in the comment section.
It's really cool because Kitty Kitty went to every single one of the well, not every single one, but Kitty went to quite a few rallies of Trump.
Or Hagatha.
As Hagatha, as Kitty, as who she is as a guy. Really active, and it's just really exciting kind of to see it because we're not the only conservative drag queens.
Yeah.
And having Kitty on our team is just...
Definitely.
It's awesome.
Yes.
It's
Keep
just
the
really
fight
cool.
up, Kitty.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. It's so cool. I love it. Oh my gosh, yes. Kitty, thank you. If you can actually give people the link, that would be even better so that at least people who are in the chat can follow you now.
Yes, that would be great.
So, yeah, oh my gosh. Okay. Basically, what was it? Oh, Fox News. Yes,
there
okay.
We go.
So Fox News, basically, I'm not holding it too hard against them because they're in the business of making money. And what's happening is progressives actually will boycott. And, they'll contact companies. And basically, if Fox News delivers a segment or news that people are not happy with, they lose sponsors and they lose a lot of money. And so even though they have these, fantastic ratings, they can't have ratings without making money. And so they're just trying to appease the masses there, the advertisers. And I think if conservatives started calling, companies and pressuring them to put pressure on liberal networks, we would see probably a much more equal playing field.
Well, that's a thought.
When it comes to this. So yeah, that's definitely something that I think in the next 4 years and in the next 2 years in general before the next election, this is something that we're going to be pushing hard
because that's really where the battle is on social media and media. It's really where it comes down to.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, Fox News ratings have dropped so fast, and they're in a hard place because on the one hand they're losing advertisers that they have to please because they need to make money. On the other hand, they're losing ratings, and they have to figure something out because people have watched Fox News for years and years and years. They're loyal viewers, and basically, they're being sold out for the advertisers, and that's where they're jumping ship as they should. And now you have OWN Network, and you have so many other online options out there that it's no longer necessary. So but what I think is really incredible is that if you watch the results of the actual election, right? And as we talked about the fact that, okay, Trump didn't win, which is very, very disappointing. He might still win. We'll see what's happening, even though it's very, very unlikely. Yeah. Again, this was not a repudiation on Trump's policies. If anything, this election really showed how popular Trump's policies actually are. Because
Yes.
Republicans gained 10 to 15 seats in the House, which is just incredible to think when you were thinking about the kind of hemorrhage that we were promised in the Congress.
Yeah.
You know, Nancy Pelosi
Yeah.
is literally going to have the slimmest of the slimmest majorities
Yeah.
possible. And get
Yeah.
this is, I think, the coolest thing. So it looks like Nancy Pelosi is probably going to have a majority of 221 Democrats in Congress. 221. Now, you need 218 votes in order to become Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
Last time, 10 Democrats voted against Nancy Pelosi. So if those same 10 Democrats vote against her now, she's not Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is going to be really, really interesting to see what's going to happen, because
Yeah.
my guess is ultimately she will prevail. But, you know, what else, you know, what other part of her soul is she going to have to sell to the devil in order to prevail? You know, what else is she going to promise and sell? That, I think, is going to be fascinating
Yeah.
to see. But it's not going to be easy. And
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi is in her 80s. Chuck Schumer is in his 80s or late 70s. You know, all of these really old Democratic leaders who are still in these positions promising this, you know, great advancement. And in reality, I think Democrats are actually in a really hard place, because on the one hand, you know, you have the radical, really radical progressive wing of their party that is so radical that people are just running away from them, but they are the future of the party, right?
Yeah.
And on the other hand, you have the moderates, which is where the majority of the country is, with the, you know, moderates, if you can call them that at this point. But they're so old, it's time to go, and it's time to let the newer generation, you know, take reins and become leaders. And so it's going to be really interesting to see. Democrats are really in a hard place right now. And I think if it wasn't for the exuberant amounts of money that was spent on this election by Democrats, right? I mean, Biden outspent Trump 5-1 or 7-1, some crazy numbers, right? I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
He got insane amounts of positive coverage. He outspent him.
The media was 100% on his side.
100% on his side, with 95% positive reporting on you know, with Biden, and 95% negative reporting with Trump.
Yeah.
And then you know, insane amounts of money that was spent.
Yeah.
And also interesting, right? They're saying that Biden raised all these, you know, record numbers of money, but the reality is that the money that Biden raised.
Julie.
Hi, Julie.
So glad you're able to make
Yay!
it.
So glad. So glad. But the reality is that the majority of the money that Biden raised came from massive corporations, you know, massive, you know, people, rich people. The majority of the money that Trump raised actually came from small donors.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, because he's a billionaire running for president, and he actually gets most of his money from small donors.
Yeah.
People who don't have the money.
Yeah.
They believe in him so much,
Yeah.
and they believe in the way and the direction that he's taken the country
Yeah.
so much that they're willing to give their own money to this literally billionaire who doesn't even need it.
Yeah.
I think that really says a lot.
It does.
And
it definitely does.
and
Yeah.
ultimately, Republicans know it. I think Democrats know it, which is why I think it's so lucky for us. I mean, really lucky and incredible that Republicans did as well as they did in the House. And if anyone is thinking that Democrats have any chance of securing the runoff election in Georgia, they are living in some kind of fantasy la la land. There is absolutely no chance. Those two senators are going to be Republican. And Republicans are going to have a really nice, safe majority of 52-48 in the Senate. So it's just incredible. And I would not be surprised if in the next election, Republicans gain the House as well. They're going to have a really hard time keeping the Senate, because they're going to have about 23 Republicans that are going to be running for re-election to 13 that are going to be running with the Democrats. But they might have a really strong chance of holding on, actually gaining the Congress. And then basically Biden is not going to have not the Senate, not the Congress. It's going to be a very limited president. It's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
Susan, thank you so much. Wow. Coffee time. My daughter told me she's coming with when we all meet up next year. Oh my goodness, how cool. I would love that.
Yes.
Susan, how old is your daughter? I would love to know. How cool is that?
So I know, was it not last live, but the live before, we talked about doing like a Zoom thing We also talked about like doing things in live. So those will be all updates that we will have in the newsletter. So whenever we do a Zoom meeting with everyone, or if we go live or whatever, that will all be in the newsletter.
So we're basically trying to figure out. Ooh.
Excuse me. I think I need another drink.
Is it time for another drink, you guys? This is for your daughter, Susan. Let's drink for Susan's daughter. This is so exciting.
This isn't coffee, but...
Yeah, it's not coffee, yeah. I just love these drinks. Okay.
Oh. I think so.
Oh my goodness.
I keep getting blueberries stuck in the straw.
Cheers. Yes, Susan, it actually is incredibly impressive that Biden got so many dead voters. I think what really upsets me is that people are pretending like none of this happens. None of this happened. You know, people are pretending like voter fraud is such a minor issue.
Excuse me, guys, for a moment.
Take your time. Yeah. People are pretending like voter fraud is this like super minor issue. And the thing is, it really has been a super minor issue in other election cycles. Hasn't been this case in this election cycle. And I personally think that all these polls that we've been watching and seeing, I think that they're election fraud. I think that's voter fraud because it's obviously done to suppress Republican voters. The margins in Wisconsin are so small. Minnesota, so small. And you have to like really think about when they're showing Trump losing by 17 points, 11 points, and then the margins are actually less than 1 point. It really tells you a lot about what these, pollsters are doing. Because I don't believe for a second.
Okay, I'm back. And I'm alive.
Yay!
Sorry about that, everyone.
I don't believe for a second that NBC did not know that, their 17-point margin in, Wisconsin was so outrageous. I just don't believe it. That was done on purpose. And I think what we're seeing is all of these, and by the way, that's why we talked about this before, that's why I really trust Rasmussen, because they were the closest ones when it comes to the polling. And I think this year, the Trafalgar Group did impeccably well when it comes to their polling. And that's because they go above and beyond, and they make sure that they have really equal representation of everyone, and they ask the right questions to make sure that they get the correct answers. And that's why they were so close. And so, yeah, I wish Republicans could sue all these pollsters who showed these outrageous numbers.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Kiliki Hapono, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, my goodness, thank you. Wow. Oh, it really means a lot. Thank you. Kiliki
Are you from
Hapono.
Are you from Hawaii?
It seems like you're from Hawaii, yeah?
The name, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Where are you from in Hawaii? Zane used to live in Hawaii.
Yes.
If you're in,
it's my Hawaiian name. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh, love it. Zane used to live in Hawaii, and can't wait to go back.
Oh yes, definitely missing Hawaii, so much. Missing traveling in general.
In general, yeah. In general. So, I really wish Republicans could sue everyone at this point. And I think what really saddens me is when I'm seeing all these like voter frauds, right? When we're seeing these truckloads of ballots being dumped, and 9 out of 10 ballots end up being Trump ballots, and Democrats are just sticking their head in the sand. No, this is not happening. I'm not seeing this. Not part of my reality. That is what I think I'm having such a hard time with. The other thing that I'm having a really hard time with is, specifically, and again, I could say this from, just even my personal friends, right? Who I remember when Trump was running for president were so just disgusted with the idea that someone that's been accused of sexual harassment can run for president, right? And with the whole Kavanaugh thing, if you guys remember what happened, right? And again, there's not one corroborated story about, Trump sexually harassing anyone. Sure, there's a lot of corroborated stories about Trump having sexual relations with, various women, but not even one where he sexually harassed them. Not one corroborated story with Justice Kavanaugh. Not one, including the witnesses that the victim supposedly named. Even the witnesses said never happened. But Biden's accusers actually very much corroborated. There's actual police reports that were filed about sexual abuse. I mean, this really goes a long, long way. And we're talking about, and this is very smart from the Biden campaign, to talk about the character and the soul of the nation, because it basically eliminated the conversation of, you know, his sexual predatory behavior. It eliminated the conversation of his plagiarism. You know, all of these things that, you know, were completely eliminated and not discussed. And it really, you know, you really have to think about if the elections were actually fair, and if the media was fair and balanced, would Biden have won? And I think no, especially when you have such small margins, and that really says a lot.
Yeah, there's absolutely. Oh,
DJ Jello Paris, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. Stay woke, babes. I got to go for a date with a Democrat to make world peace. I love it. May God keep his hand over the nation and never let us lose our freedom.
Thank you so much,
bless
DJ.
You too. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you, DJ Jello Paris. We really appreciate it. Good luck on the date with the Democrat. Make world peace. Definitely.
Yeah, make peace.
Yes, make peace. Oh my goodness, I love it. So, you know, I think that's going to be... Basically, I think if it wasn't for all the help that Biden got, it would just not be possible. And
there's just
and everything that Trump achieved has basically been achieved with his own will and his own work ethic, his own strength, because the entire world was basically against him, including the establishment of his own party. So that really tells you how much Trump was successful.
Yeah.
In fact, he was so successful that in the last election, he got 6% more of the black men vote, 5% more of the black women vote, for a total of 5% more of the black vote in general. Which, again, might not sound like a lot, but Trump got... Ooh, Kimberly! Oh my goodness, thank you so much! Keep doing what you do, because the two of you always put a smile on our faces.
Aw,
thank you! That puts such a huge smile on our faces!
Thank you so much.
Thank you! Wow, we really appreciate it. Thank you. That's really cool. So, yeah, think about it. Last election, Trump got 8% of the black vote. 8%. This election, he got 12. Now, those seem like really horrible numbers for any Republican, but the reality is if white people voted the way they normally vote in this election, we would have had a Trump president right now thanks to the increase in the Trump vote, because the margins in states like Georgia and a lot of, you know, other states as well, that really makes a difference. Now, what happened specifically in Georgia and why we're so close is because, you know, Stacey Abrams did an amazing job at getting out the vote for, you know, for blacks in Georgia. Really incredible job. Personally, I really dislike this woman to such an extent, but I can't deny the fact that this woman is incredible with what she's done, you know, since she lost her election bid. And, you know, it's really incredible. However, having said that, with all the goodness that they've done, and the black vote did turn out, it was not enough to actually put a Democrat over the top in the Senate with 50% or more. And Georgia has a rule that if you don't achieve 50% or more, you go to a runoff. And basically, the runoff is we're gonna have 2 extra senators from Georgia. And if you guys remember, my main concern was before the election was Arizona. I don't know if you guys remember, but
yeah, you called it.
I called it. I was like, if he loses Arizona, it's done. And I wasn't so nervous about Arizona. I wasn't even nervous about Michigan or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, because I really thought he had a really good chance there. My main concern was Arizona, and I knew that if he loses Arizona, that would be it. And basically, you know, the moment that Fox News called Arizona, you really started seeing things, you know, go the other way for us, unfortunately.
That's for sure. We actually, you called Arizona, also called not knowing. Said that after the election,
we're not going to know.
We're not going to know. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth. And that's unfortunately what happened. And I think it's going to continue this way for a while.
It's probably will continue this way for a while, most likely.
It's this...
But again, Republicans need to stay hopeful because they were able to maintain their Senate majority, gain seats in the House, which again tells you that if it wasn't for the onslaught of negative attacks that Trump experienced, both on the airwaves, on the radio, on television, and just from news organizations literally everywhere, basically experienced a crazy onslaught of negative attacks. But if it wasn't for his response to the Chibi, I almost said the word, started with C, and if it wasn't for the first debate, I really think he would have had it in the bag, and it would have been not even close. But again, Republicans need to look at what Trump has done, because going from 8 to 12% with black voters is a huge deal for Republicans. Huge. If they can make those kind of inroads every election cycle. Hi, Danielle. Hi. First time watching us live? Oh, wow.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Oh, my goodness. How cool. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And if Republicans can actually continue to make inroads with the black community, it's going to be very difficult to stop the Republicans. And I think it's only going to be that much more appropriate for the Republicans to go back to their historically rightful place of being the party of minorities. I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Trump also made inroads with Asians by 7%. Asians are notoriously liberal, and by 7%, that's a huge margin. And guess what? There's a massive, absolutely massive Chinese population here in the US. How many of the Chinese people voted for Trump knowing that Trump is basically standing up to China, did not want a Biden who is in cahoots with China to become president? How many of those people voted for Trump and actually helped those statistics go up by 7 points? I mean, that is massive.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive.
Huge percentage.
The other thing that really was, I thought was really encouraging, when it came to 18 to 29-year-olds, Trump did not budge. He didn't gain any vote.
Yes, Ting.
What? Hell yes, American Chinese women for Trump. Yes, Ting, yes. Yes. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because Chinese people know where they're coming from. Same thing with Russians. There's a reason why Russian Americans support Trump. And no, it's not because, they love Putin or whatever. The reason why they're Russians Americans and not Russian is because they escaped Russia.
Yes.
And now they're Americans. And the reason why they're voting for Trump is because they know what the policies that the left is advocating for, what it means to, and what it's actually going to create here in the U.S.
They don't want America to turn into Russia.
They really, really don't.
No.
And I think that's why we're seeing these crazy inroads among Asian Americans, and specifically Chinese. I mean, that's really cool, Tank. Yes. That's really exciting. Yeah. So, 18 to 29-year-olds stayed the same, so that's good. Didn't lose any there. It's really important. But here's something that I thought was really interesting, and, this is part of our generation, the 30 to 44-year-olds. We're closer to the 30, not the 44-year-olds.
I'm closer to the 20.
Just want to speak that out there.
Positive. Manifesting. Positive speaking.
But Trump actually gained 5 points with 30 to 44-year-olds. That's huge. That's really, really huge, the 5 points, because millennials are notoriously liberal. Yeah. And, even from what we've seen, multiple friends, we talk about our friends all the time. Most of them are so far progressives that it's just, a foregone conclusion. But a few of them who I would consider Bernie Sanders supporters not too long ago are terrified of what's happening in the country. Yeah. Absolutely terrified. And contacted us during the last year, this election, and basically told us they're terrified, and they're hoping Trump would win. Yeah. These are liberals.
People who actually live in San Francisco and have seen
from the Bay Area too,
and have seen the way things have gone down since Chibi, and not liking the way things are going, and really concerned.
Yeah, and basically what we're seeing is that people are waking up everywhere.
Yeah.
And what happened is, and this is what is so sad,
but surely,
is everyone is waking up, and what's happening is that what we're seeing, specifically older votes, and I think, again, this is why the Chiva response really made a difference. Trump lost a huge portion of the 65-year-olds and above. And that really cost him the election, I think, in a lot of places, unfortunately, because of the response, because that is something that affected them so directly. And I think that was really a big portion of it. But the other interesting thing is that what we're seeing is that more and more liberals are waking up, specifically minority liberals. Minorities are waking up and they're realizing that the people who are actually helping them are on the other side of the aisle. And what's happening, liberals and Democrats realizing this are basically playing the race card to make sure that A, more liberals, liberal minorities don't wake up, and B, to offset the numbers of the people who are switching to Republicans, they want to get a lot of white people, to really have that like racial guilt, and again, this personal guilt of having this privilege of being a white person, and etc. And I think that's another thing that really drove a lot of the white voters away from Trump. Even though he actually did pretty well with white voters as well, and he's even gained with white women. Too, so that really tells you a lot.
Ting, I like what you said, because most of the 65
and above
were over 100 years old.
Basically. Yeah. So it's really relationship. I wonder if the children of that. So I could tell you for sure, Jenny's asking if kids of the younger generations basically ransomed their relationships with their parents, their grandparents, to get some of their votes. And I can tell you for a fact, I know that happens. I know that a lot of my parents' friends changed their party affiliation because of their children. And it's very sad because, again, my parents' friends came from, the former Soviet Union. They went through communism, socialism, and, they're scared to see what's happening. But basically, their children grew up in the Bay Area, went to incredibly good, really well-performing schools, went to Ivy League universities, grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco, became really crazy progressive, very left. And what happened as a result, a lot of them ransomed their relationships with their parents, and, the parents had to give. A lot of grandparents, the same. So, I think that's actually something that's very sad. And I would actually credit Sarah Silverman with that. I don't know if you remember, in 2008, she had this whole campaign to get young people to talk to their grandparents, so that grandparents vote for Obama. Obviously, she didn't talk about ransoming the relationship, but I just think it kind of evolved from there. And even us living in Oregon and Portland, can't tell you how many people we spoke to in 2016, that, cried and were apologetic to us because their parents voted for Trump. They thought, oh, gay couple, we would obviously be for Hillary. And, so many people actually, would cry in front of us, or just, be appalled at their parents and say they're no longer talking to their parents, or they're ashamed because their parents voted for Trump. And it's just, it was heartbreaking for us to see,
It seems like both the Republicans live in a bubble and the Democrats, liberals live in a bubble, and both sides believe that the other side is going to destroy America. And they have all their reasons and their proofs and their examples of why they believe this. And it's really difficult sometimes to talk to somebody in the other bubble, to look outside of their bubble, and what they've been perceived. And especially with social media, especially with media harping on it over and over again, on how terrible the Orange Man is. And in reality, he's done so many good things just for minorities alone.
Oh yeah. Actually, just an interesting statistic. So in 2012, Barack Obama had an 87-point margin with black voters over Mitt Romney. 87%. By 2016, it went down to 81. So Clinton had 81-point margin with black voters against Trump. 2020, you're looking at a 75-point margin. These margins are going drastically down, election by election by election. And I just really hope that Republicans are getting the message of everything that Trump has done, because basically Trump spoke over the media and directly to the black population, and really change things on the ground, which is something that we constantly talk about, the changes that he's making on the ground for people. And I think a lot of them,
it's really truly
I've noticed
grassroots.
that. Yeah, it's really truly grassroots, and it's working.
Yeah,
it's really working, and it's working to such an extent that a lot of prominent black entertainers are now coming out and you know, supported the president, which I think has been incredible too, because that really helped. And the reason why they're supporting the president is because they're seeing just all the differences that he's made.
Yeah.
So I thought that was incredible. You know, and
Justin, I'm so sorry to hear that about your family. It's very
wow,
unfortunate.
so sad. I'm so sorry. Justin says that he lost a lot of family members and friends over the partisanship, which is just that's heartbreaking. And I wish I could say, you know, that's only you.
Yeah.
That happened to us.
Yeah.
You know, and the one thing I hate most of all is
family. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I hate most of all is when we see all these like stupid Facebook posts. You know, if you're voting for Trump, defriend me. I've never seen anyone say, if you're voting for Biden, defriend me.
Yeah.
If you're voting for Clinton, defriend me. But I see so many of these posts, and it's just so short-sighted and really just, I'm going to say it straight up, it's stupid. I mean, it's really stupid, because that is specifically what's causing the divide in this country, is that kind of approach. And it's just, it's heartbreaking. It really, really is. My parents lost a lot of friends because of their political you know, because of their political leanings, and you know, we have lost a lot of friends. It's really sad.
I think one of the things that I find one of the things I find most frustrating is a lot of the LGBTQ community saying that if you voted for Trump, that you're voting against my very existence. Like, I'm being persecuted. My question is, how? How are you being persecuted? Who has persecuted you in the past 4 years? Exactly. If anything, the persecution I've seen is towards Republicans. I haven't seen any persecution towards the LGBT community.
No,
at
basically,
all.
well,
if anything, it's
I've seen persecution from Democrats, or I shouldn't say Democrats.
Correction.
I've seen prosecution from liberals prosecuting conservative members of our community, which is just outrageous.
Yes, definitely on that side, but not the other way around. So.
By the way, blacks are not the only.
Paper.
Blacks are not the only people that Trump did well with. Trump did really well with Latinos. He actually gained, I think, 4 points with Latinos since the last election, which again is huge. Or was it 4 points? I think it was actually higher than 4 points. No, 4 points. Okay. Which is just kind of incredible if you think about it. 4% more Latinos voted for him because of the wall, because of, you know, all of those statements that he's made that were made to us to sound like they were terrible statements. When he said there's people, you know, good people on both sides, when he talked about building the wall, you know, when he talked about, you know, all the people that are coming through the border are basically, you know, rapists and drug dealers and all of that, and some are good people. All of that, what I'm seeing based on statistics, is that a lot of the Hispanics, those that especially don't have Trump derangement syndrome, and that goes not just towards Hispanics, that goes to all the minorities. A lot of them are actually agreeing with what he's saying. And I can't tell you how many Latinos, Hispanics we've met, I personally met, who have said to me, you know, he's right. Like, I came here legally, you know, like, why can't other people come here legally? I waited in line the way I was supposed to wait in line. Why can't other people wait in line? And the reality is that a lot of the people that are coming are not the best people for our country. They're just not. And that's why there's so much drugs and so much violence and gangs, you know, everywhere around the border. There's a reason why that exists there. There's a reason why a lot of these border town communities are not very safe in the U.S. When you go to the border with Mexico in Texas, when you go to the border with Mexico in California, what is it called? El Alessandro? The border in California, I forgot what it's called. Like
Tijuana?
Tijuana. The border with Tijuana, I think it's like, on the American side, it's like El Alessandro or something like that, the town. But it's not a nice town with a lot of like gang violence. There's a reason why these things are, you know, these things happen. And so, you know, and I think a lot of Latinos and Hispanics are seeing this.
Yeah.
And that's why they're voting for him. So I thought that was incredible. By the way, 56% of Cuban voters in Florida voted for Trump. 56%. What does that tell you when Obama had the appeasement policy with Cuba, when he took the restrictions off of Cuba, and now 56% of Cubans are actually voting for Trump. What does that tell you? Here are people who literally came from these communist dictatorship, country, socialist country, whereas Bernie Sanders says that they have better healthcare in Cuba than they do in the U.S., yet they choose Trump, the one guy who does not want Obamacare, the guy who wants to build a wall, who does not, who wants to have asylum seekers come through the border the way they're meant to come, wait in line through the big gates and not jump through the border. They are actually voting for Trump. And I think that's very, very interesting. That's very telling, extremely telling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, actually, I think, and in general, by the way, I think Florida, that was, I think, the closest margins among Hispanics and Latino, where Biden got 52% of the Hispanic Latino vote. I mean, obviously that's a majority, but if you think about it, that's a very slim majority. Trump got 47% of the vote. That's massive, and that's huge.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, as we're seeing, and I don't know if this is going to continue post, Trump era, but as we're seeing Texas slowly turning more and more blue, we're also seeing states like Ohio and states like Florida turning hopefully more and more Republican. Now again, that might not be the case, because we do know that the last governor race in Florida, it was extremely close, and I'm really glad that DeSantis ended up winning the election. And maybe it's just because Florida is now the home of Trump, so we'll see. But basically, shifts are happening constantly in the Electoral College.
Definitely.
Constantly. And that is why we have the system, because, these swing states are changing, election to election cycle all the time. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But obviously Republicans, Democrats have really rich Electoral College states like New York and California.
Yeah.
So I think it would be, and up until recently, also Pennsylvania. Now it's much more of a swing state. So Republicans really need to hold on to Florida and Texas and do whatever they can to hold on to these states.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Texas, Trump got 41% of the Hispanic Latino vote. And those who are saying, well, obviously it's Texas, last time he got 34%. So that's a huge improvement. From 34 to 41%, that's a massive improvement when it comes to the Hispanic and Latino vote. And again, all of that while Trump is the greatest, biggest racist in the history of the United States. All of this is happening. And again, I would love to hear what, all of these pundits on TV have to say when they call him racist, and then they see these numbers.
Yeah.
It's like, how are they going to explain this?
Exactly, yeah.
So
I'm sure they'll figure out a way.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And
no doubt in my mind.
The only thing that is very disappointing, obviously, is Arizona, as we talked about. The margin there was actually huge for Biden. It was a 27-point margin for Hispanics, which, by the way, even though it was a huge margin, was actually smaller than in previous years. It's just that Biden did really, really well with the white population, and more specifically, he did really well with women. Trump lost a huge portion of the women vote, which is, very, very sad. Yeah. By the way, Asian voters, the margin with Obama and Mitt Romney in 2012 was 47%. In 2016, it was 38%, the margin, or 38 points. 2020, 27 points. So Trump is literally improving by 10, give or take, 10 points each election cycle with the Asian electorate. Those are huge numbers, literally huge. And I think any Republican would just, kill to have. I mean, those are incredible numbers. And that's what I think Trump is doing. And that's part of the reason why Republicans were able to keep the Senate, or will ultimately keep the Senate, and why they have such huge inroads in Congress. And it's really exciting because a lot of those California districts that I thought are going to go away for Democrats, forever, are not. And it's so important because what people need to realize, and this is in some way even more important, that Republicans made these gains in Congress and were able to keep the Senate. It's actually more important than the presidency. as much as we love Trump, as much as we wanted him to win, and we really, really, really did, for Republicans to make inroads in Congress is so much more important, because now Republicans are going to be able to do redistricting. And what that means is that now, thanks to these gains, Republicans are going to be able to redistrict some of these districts, and actually potentially make, you know, another 10 or so safe Republican seats for Congress in the district redistricting of 2020. So that was huge, because basically, if we would have had the blue wave that we were promised, I think Republicans would have had a very, very, very difficult time for the next possibly 10 years to come out of that after the redistricting. So this really changes things and gives Republicans a lot of hope for the future, a lot. And all those conversations about stacking the court, forget it. Not going to happen with a Republican majority. So, you know, that goes out the window. That's incredible. And I think that really tells you a lot about all those points that Trump was hitting. You know, name one name, Joe. Name one name, Joe. Are you going to stack the court, Joe? Are you going to stack the court, Joe? Yeah. That really made a difference, because people did not want to see, you know, the court expended. Even if they like Judge Barrett or they don't, even Democrats, the majority of Democrats did not want to see the court expended. And I think in that sense, Trump was a tremendous help for Republicans for constantly pushing this issue. Just tremendous help. So I am internally grateful, because now we have a conservative Supreme Court for quite a few years to come. And that, I think, is wonderful.
Even though there's some negatives, there's also a lot of positives that came out of this. So I think it's very important to focus on the positives and look at, you know, how amazing things can be moving here forward. And on that note, I think we should have another drink.
Yeah, okay, let's have another drink. Ugh. Yes.
I feel like it should be getting lighter, but it's not.
It gets heavier and heavier.
The blueberries get stuck, though.
And the strawberry. It's so refreshing. So it's really cold outside right now, but being in front of the lights, it's actually really hot, so it's so nice to have like a cool, refreshing, fun drink. Yes. Cheers, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
So, okay. We talked about how Biden did better with 65-year-olds. Interesting thing is Trump also lost 2 percentage points among 45 to 64-year-olds. So basically, he's gained with younger folks, lost with the older folks. Again, that specifically goes to, you know, what's happening now with the pandemic, Chibi. I think that really cost him quite a bit.
I also think that it was the very first speech that cost him the vote from older people. The very first debate.
Debate. Oh yeah,
the
definitely.
very first debate.
Definitely.
I think that's what really had a huge impact.
Oh yeah.
On that.
But again, the interesting thing is, you know, even with women, Trump actually did better. So this misogynistic, you know, pig did better with women than he did before by 1 percentage point better, which again is incredible. Yeah. Given the fact that, you know, all the just onslaught of negativity that came towards his way.
Yes.
You know, calling him, you know, the enemy of women and all of these things, and he actually ended up doing better with women. Unfortunately, Biden did a lot better with men. You know, so that really helped him. But I think it's hugely impressive that Trump did so well with women. Hugely impressive. And of course, you know, and when it comes to all other minorities in general, Trump did about 5 points better as well with all other minorities. You know, those include Jews, those include LGBT, Indian, Native Americans, you know, all of those minorities that you can calculate, Trump did 5 points better as well. So again, this is a specific, clear roadmap for Republicans to follow. And personally, I'm really going to be watching and seeing what Republicans will do in the next 2 years, and whether or not they're going to follow Trump's roadmap. Because if they will not follow Trump's roadmap, there will be hell to pay come the next election. Hell to pay. Even if he's not a president yet, I think he's still the leader of the Republican Party. And that really says a lot. So overall, net gain for non-whites for Republicans, and specifically Trump, 5 points with non-whites. 5 points. That is huge. Absolutely huge. And Biden and Democrats lost 3 points. And that's, again, huge. And that explains why they lost so many seats in the House and why the Republicans are keeping the Senate. So this is really something for, a lot of people to look at. And, if you're disappointed about the results, there's a lot of positivity there.
Yeah,
a lot.
Well, I like what Justin H wrote.
Well, yeah, basically, Justin, all these increases make it hard for me to fathom Biden's win. It's so insane. It is, but again, when you count into the fact that Trump lost 2% of 65 and older, I think Biden gained about 3 or 5 points with the 65 and older. Now that is the one group of voters that is the most likely to vote. So that they are overrepresented in the voting bloc compared to their representation in our society at large. So they're overly represented. Trump lost a huge portion of it.
Yeah.
And that really made a difference, unfortunately. Really, really big difference. And of course, when we're talking about, all the amounts of voters that Trump gained, you also have to realize that, yes, Trump, for example, gained with women 1 point, but Biden also gained with women compared to Hillary Clinton by 1 point because the other women in 2016 voted for third parties. So a lot of the gains that Trump had, Biden also had gains. Now, the interesting thing is that when it comes to specifically minorities, Biden actually had losses. But whereas Trump would have a gain of, let's say, 5 points, Biden would have a loss of 2 points, not necessarily the 5 points that Trump gained because of third parties. That really makes a big difference as well.
Aloha.
Hi, Kiliki. Got around. So glad I caught you live. I'll shout you out on my Instagram. Aloha. Aloha. So glad you got the chance to catch us. And thank you so much.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. So, yeah. Basically, I think this really is what makes a difference. With Hispanic men, Trump did, 4 points better. Hispanic women, 5 points better. Trump did 3 points better with white women. Now, you were talking about this, Justin. 3 points better with white women, Trump did. Biden did 1 point better with white women than Hillary Clinton did. So both of them actually improved the standing. Trump improved his own standing, and Biden improved his standing compared to Hillary Clinton with women. And those are basically, I think, the reason why. And, I think another reason why Trump lost, Justin, Trump lost 1 point from white men. Biden gained 7. 7 points. More for Biden from white men. That is a huge difference. Really, really huge difference.
Yeah, he's also saying right here.
My nephew blames white guilt, not altogether accurate, but still hilarious. I actually completely agree with your nephew. I think that's the whole. That's what we're. Oh, Julie! Oh my goodness! Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. This is from my 14-year-old daughter, Rebecca. She's watching with me drinking.
Oh, I love Shirley Temple.
Oh my gosh, wow.
It's actually
Thank you so much, Rebecca. That means so much coming from you, especially as a 14-year-old. That means so much.
Very much so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Rebecca.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yes.
Right? Oh, wow. I hope you get extra allowance this week. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, we're looking at, we're talking about the white men and the white guilt. I think it's very correct. And I think that's why the Democrats are pushing the race issue so hard.
Yeah.
Because so many minorities are moving towards the Republican side. And in order to offset those losses, they're basically using white guilt.
White suburban women.
White suburban women who feel really guilty. White suburban women, compared to the rest of the population, have it pretty good. Now, obviously, a lot of suburban women will say, I don't have it good at all. Totally understandable. But when you compare just statistically to the other, other communities in the country, white suburban women have it probably the best, and they feel guilty for it. And that's why so many of them moved towards Trump in this election cycle. So, yeah. And Justin, yes, it is white people mostly pushing this critical theory, and I think that's why it's really a shame, Really, really, really a shame. By the way, I thought this was really interesting with people who are not affiliated with any religion. Trump actually did 6 points better than he did last time, which I find really fascinating because, you know, he's really been pushing the whole, you know, I'm a friend of the religious people, etc. He actually lost support among Catholic groups, among evangelical groups, among Protestant groups. He lost a lot of support among Christian groups and gained 6 points with non-religious groups, which I think is really fascinating. Now, in the US, majority of the people are affiliated with one religion or another, usually Christianity, and non-religious people are the minority. So, you know, the 6 points that he's gained are obviously not enough to offset the losses that he's had with religious groups. But, you know, I think it really says a lot, you know, when, you know, non-religious people, whether they're atheist, agnostic, or just not affiliated with anything, you know, here's a person that really pushes, you know, the rights of, you know, religious liberty, religious freedom, the rights of people to express their religion, you know, publicly and privately, and getting so much pushback from, you know, the mainstream media. And the narrative is that, you know, America is not there anymore. And here you actually have allies that are not even, you know, believing in the same things, and they're supporting his agenda. I think that really says a lot as well. With under 50 people who make less than 50,000, Trump did 3 points better. Biden did 2 points better. People making 50,000 to 100,000, which, Justin, this is again for you, 50,000 to 100,000, you know, that is basically the majority of the country today, just about. And Trump lost 7 points. Biden gained 11 points. Of people making 50,000 to 100,000, and those are the part of the reasons why, you know, Trump lost. You know, obviously there's a lot of statistics there, and I try to pick only the most important one. I mean, there's like crazy breakdowns. And then the other interesting thing is people are making 100,000 or more. Biden lost 5 points. Trump gained 7. And the reason why I think it's interesting because Biden was actually got so much more money from people making $100,000 or more. He got so much more money from the rich, from you know, millionaires, from corporations, right? All the people who are able to give the maximum amount of donations. Biden did really, really well. Trump didn't get as much money, but I think, you know, that number that reflects, you know, that 7 point increase with Trump's numbers reflect a lot of people who are making maybe 100 to 200,000 or 300,000. You know, maybe they're doing well, but they're not, you know, crazy super rich, and they're just, the reason why they're going for him is because they're most likely business owners, and they're seeing, you know, the policies that he's doing.
Excuse me, everybody, one moment.
They're seeing the policies that he's doing and how much it's helping them and, you know, everyone around them. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And yeah, the Hispanic Latinos, last time Trump got 28% of the vote, this time he got 34%. Huge numbers. I think the last person that got a similar number was George W. Bush, and I think he got 33%. I'm not sure. So, you know, Republicans thought that those numbers are no longer possible even to get. And so the fact that Trump got there is quite impressive. Really, really impressive. So, you know, when people like Mitt Romney, for example, have an issue with Trump's policies towards minorities, well, Mitt Romney got like 4% or 3% of the black vote. He got like 22% or whatever, 24% of the Hispanic vote. So, you know, I would much rather listen to what Trump has to say than what Mitt Romney has to say, given the fact that Trump is a much better representative of these minority groups. So, yeah. Okay, so, you know, we talked about the 10 to 15 seats margin in the Congress. I'm really looking forward to see how Nancy Pelosi pulls this off, because I think ultimately she will pull it off. I just really want to know what other part of her soul she's going to have to sell to get this, because it's not going to be easy to get it this time. And it's going to be really interesting to see now with redistricting. It's going to be really interesting to see if Democrats are going to try to play with the district of AOC and see if maybe they can actually provide her with a credible challenger to get her out, because she's been really, really vocal and very, very loud. And I think Democrats are really worried. You know, definitely the older establishment Democrats are really worried about the direction their party is going. And so it'll be interesting to see if they're going to change the district so that AOC can have a an actual challenger and potentially replace her. I think that would be incredible.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Definitely make me happy, but we'll see.
That would be very fascinating.
So, I think I said with the new redistricting, basically Republicans are now going to get half a dozen to a dozen safe Republican seats, thanks to redistricting, since they've increased their share, and I think that's incredibly important. So I think overall, if you look at the election, despite Trump's loss, which is really painful and extremely sad, overall I think that Republicans won, and won really, really big. Really big. And as ironic as it is, they owe their thanks and gratitudes to the person that lost the election, Trump.
I know.
I think it's kind of incredible.
Yeah.
So, if you're discouraged, if you're upset, if you're disappointed about what happened, please don't be. We're obviously going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to do everything that we can in our power, and in our abilities, to continue pushing the cause forward, because it's not over. And, Trumpism is not just about Trump. Trumpism is a set of values, and it's a set of values that respects people's rights to their own free will. It respects people's rights to worship as they see please. Again, I'm not a worshiper. However, I really believe in your rights to worship however you see please, wherever you see please. Your worship does not encroach on my liberty, none whatsoever. When it comes to values of respecting our laws, respecting our security personnel, our police officers, our people at the borders, respecting our veterans, who really have been shafted for way too many years, respecting our immigration laws. These are all principles that I think a lot of us can get behind, and that's not Trumpism. That's just that's just good sense to me. For me, that's good common sense. Common sense, and basically, Trumpism is no longer about Trumpism. It's about the country and the party and the movement at large. That currently Trump is, the head of it. And I really, really hope we continue in this direction, because ultimately the wall needs to get built. It does need to get built. My concern is, obviously we're not going to build that wall now. I'm hoping that maybe 4 years from now, a Republican comes and they will build the wall. I'm hoping they're not going to be scared to address the issue head on the way that other Republicans have. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to take a page out of Trump's book and really be able to push that issue forward. I'm hoping the support for the Black community in America is going to continue under Republican leadership. Because Trump really has done more for the Black community than any Democrat in recent history.
Definitely.
That's for sure. And I also hope that we, obviously I'm really nervous about what's going to happen in the Middle East. I have a personal stake on it in there. I am very much against the Iran nuclear deal. Biden is going to have a very hard time getting back into the Iranian nuclear deal. It's going to be almost impossible for him to do so with the Republican majority in the Senate. That's going to be really interesting to see what he's going to do. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of executive orders, a lot of unilateral actions. We've seen Trump really take full advantage of executive orders. I'm sure Biden will do the same to undo Trump's legacy. But the interesting thing is, unlike Obama's legacy, which was very weak, actually, and his greatest achievement was basically Obamacare, because there's really no going back after Obamacare. Republicans are unable to repeal it. Maybe they'll be able to improve it, change it, but basically, a lot of the good things that are part of Obamacare are here to stay. Hopefully we can take away the bad things. But basically, aside from Obamacare, Obama really doesn't have a good legacy with anything. His legacy with Cuba was a failure. His relationship with Russia was nothing but appeasement towards Russia. His Iran nuclear deal, Iranian nuclear deal, total appeasement and failure. The Paris Climate Agreement was a joke, really a joke. So I could see us going back to the Paris nuclear climate deal. I think that's going to be pretty much immediate. Within the first 80 days, 50 days, we're going to be back in the Paris the Paris Climate Agreement. But the Iranian deal, it's going to be really, really interesting to see. I don't think we're going to be able to go back in there. And I think it's going to be almost impossible for Biden to sign a new agreement with Iran without getting some new concessions from Iran. And again, we have to thank Trump for that. Because if it wasn't for that, Iran would be a couple of years away from a nuclear bomb at this point with a whole lot of money. Now they have no money. They still want their sanctions removed. Biden will most likely remove them.
Annika.
Hi, Hannah.
Annika.
Hannah.
And
Hannah. Oh, Annika. Anka. Hi, Anka. Hi.
So sorry. I'm glad you were able to join.
Hi. I just saw Hannah K, so I thought, okay, that makes sense. That's funny. So there's a lot of things that I'm concerned about. Harris said that she's going to immediately reinstate the financial assistance and support to the Palestinians. That's something that really bothers me because that's a regime that supports terrorism. Part of the reason why that assistance was taken away is because the Palestinian Authority to this day pays really, really, really high salaries to convicted terrorists who are sitting in prison. If you're a convicted terrorist, you get a salary from the Palestinian Authority. And depending on how many innocent civilians you kill, you get more. So
just
if you kill, an adult male, you get an X amount. If you kill a woman, you get more. If she's pregnant, even more. If you kill children, even more bonus. If you're able to kill a family, you hit the whole, the holy grail, and now you're getting even more. And then depending on how gruesome your crime was, and depending on how long you're sitting in jail as a result of it, you get bonuses. So if you're sitting, for less than 10 years, you'll get an X amount. But if you're sitting for more than 10 years, you'll get an extra $1,000 a month. And that is money that goes to the families of these convicted terrorists. And not only that, but they name schools after these convicted terrorists. So we have, schools, named after presidents, after people who accomplished great things.
Yeah.
In the Palestinian Authority, we have schools named after terrorists, which I think is insane.
Yeah.
Basically reinstating the funds, I think, would be a huge mistake. Trump took those funds because he said, we'll reinstate them back once you stop paying money for terrorists, once you stop paying them salaries, and once you start financially supporting terrorist organizations.
Which I think is common sense.
Again, common sense. Harris said she'll go back to it.
Yeah.
That really worries me. Another thing that worries me as well is going to be, I think if Trump won the second term, we would have seen a flood of new countries who would sign peace agreements with Israel. A flood wave of many, many countries who would sign peace agreements. So it'll be interesting to see if we'll get any at all now under Biden, because I think Biden will have an interest in getting some peace agreements for sure. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, he's also going to have a lot of interest in really pressing Israel and, and really pushing a lot of these Muslim countries to not sign a peace agreement with Israel so that they can pressure Israel into concessions. I think that would be a really big shame.
Yeah.
And regarding the Iran nuclear deal, I think that all the new peace agreements that were signed were actually really smartly signed before the election, because now you have a set of countries in the Middle East, whereas before, when it was Obama, Israel was the lone country in the entire world who stood up against this, this nuclear deal. Mm-hmm. One country, specifically Bibi Netanyahu, who just, experienced insane amounts of pressure and was able to stand up to all of it and even give an incredible speech in Congress against the against that deal. And I think it's just, now it's no longer going to be just Israel. It's going to be all these other Muslim countries, including Saudi Arabia, that has not signed a peace agreement with Israel, but is officially now recognized their relationship with Israel, right? By allowing Israeli planes to fly over, by, there's a lot of kind of behind the scenes that's happening between Israel and Saudi Arabia that is now very, very public. And I think they did that on purpose so that when Israel fights the nuclear Iran deal that Biden is, I'm sure, going to go towards, they're actually going to have support from none others than Iran's actual neighbors, which I think is incredible. Jews and Muslims working together against it. So that's something that's given me a lot of hope.
And that's why he was nominated for a Peace Prize.
And that's why he was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize 4 times.
4 times.
4
over.
times. So that has really given me hope a lot, basically. And my hope is that with the Republican majorities in the Senate, with the Republican gains in the House, and basically with the very unclear victory that Biden has had, assuming he stays as president, that's given me a lot of hope that basically what he's going to be able to do is going to be very, very limited, for the most part, fairly superficial, and that's kind of my hope. Because if you realize, there's very few little things that Trump was able to accomplish because of the obstructionist Democrats in Congress. And I will be absolutely shocked and incredibly angry if Republicans roll over and let Biden and Harris do whatever they want. Because I think now, payback is, you guys, payback is a you-know-what. And basically now Republicans, have the power in their hands, and they're going to make life miserable for Biden and Harris. As they should. They really, really should. And all those calls for unity are absolute joke. After literally calling Trump an illegitimate president for 4 years, after having, Democratic leaders. I mean, I'm not talking about AOC and, the squad and all of those people. Democratic leaders, like Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, calling for, Republicans to be disturbed in public places, calling for Republicans to be shamed. Pretending this whole Russia hoax thing.
Yeah.
Basically, we're going to see a lot. And I think Republicans are not going to, unite as quickly as Democrats hope they will after the absolutely hellish 4 years that they've experienced because of the Democratic House. And I will not be surprised if we're going to see some kind of an investigation into the Hunter Biden Chinese relationship, possibly Hunter Biden Russia relationship in the Senate.
Yeah.
Is it going to go anywhere? I don't know, but
probably won't.
I don't know, and it's going to be really interesting to see, because if Republicans really, really push it, whoever the Attorney General of Biden is, it's going to be hard to not open an investigation, just like Republicans had to support the opening of an investigation into the Russia hoax, Russian interference in our election. Basically, I think we might have another situation where Republicans are now, and I really, really hope they do, are going to push an investigation into Hunter Biden, and it's going to be almost impossible, I think, for an attorney general to not have to support that move eventually. So it's going to be interesting. We're in for a very interesting 4 years, definitely interesting 2 years, and then it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because the first 2 years are going to say a lot. Republicans are going to have a lot more to defend in the Senate, but they'll also have a lot more to pick up in Congress. So it's going to be really interesting. And by the way, with all of the historic levels of judges that were confirmed under Trump, it's very heartwarming to know that most likely Democrats are not going to be able to confirm any judges without Republican support. So those judges are either going to have to be, conservative or centrist in order to get Mitch McConnell's support. So that is very exciting and heartwarming for me as well.
So even though there's a lot of negatives, there are a lot of positives. So this is good. Hold on to those positives. Toss that paper.
Hold on.
Throw those worries away.
Gone. They're all... Ariel and Zane, there are old and new ties to China with Biden. Are you concerned he will ruin all the progress Trump has made with China? Incredibly concerned. Incredibly. And the thing is, I think Biden will ruin the progress with China. And this is why I think it's so sad, because Trump was making so much progress, not just with China, he was making progress with Russia as well. Again, you have to remember, it was Obama that canceled the missile defense system in Poland because of Russia's request. It was Obama that did not follow his own red line in Syria because of Russia's request. It was under Obama that Russia invaded Crimea. It was under Obama that Russia invaded 2 separate territories in Georgia. It was under Obama that China started becoming an expansionist country and expanding in the South Asian Sea. It was under Obama that China started pushing a lot of its policies in Hong Kong, anti-democratic policies in Hong Kong, changing the status quo of, two territories, one country, or two governments, one country. And it was under Obama when China started threatening Taiwan. So, for their ambitions of becoming more and more independent. Not under Trump. And Trump has really pushed hard on all of these things. So, Trump did end up putting the missile defense system in Eastern Europe. He sanctioned Russia over their invasion of Crimea. He did follow his own red line in Syria. He did not allow Russia to expand their influence in the Middle East the way Obama did. He is not allowing China to do as they please in Asia, in the South Asian Sea. He's standing up for Taiwan, and that's why Trump has such huge and enormous support of people in Hong Kong, and why in Hong Kong people were actually carrying, when they were protesting, carrying Trump signs and American flags. The idea that the world, is happy to see Trump gone, that might be true when it comes to places like Europe. I would say so, probably, but not in Asia. I think a lot of Asian countries are actually quite upset to see Trump gone. I think a lot of Middle Eastern countries are actually quite upset to see Trump gone, and quite a few countries in Africa. It's not so black and white as the media tries to paint it. It's just, they're only talking about, Europe, basically.
Their bubble.
And their bubble,
Yeah.
So that was a great question. Thank you for asking that. I hope I answered it, Anka. I hope that was like a good enough question. But yeah, very, very, very concerned. And not only am I very concerned, I'm pretty sure that we are going to go back. And that is heartbreaking for me. Because I think, and you know what, like the thing that bothers me the most, I think this is something that we're going to talk about in the future again. The thing that bothers me the most is now under Biden, I think social media companies are going to be able to do as they please. And that bothers me the most. Because that is what separates us the most as well, divides us so much. And I think Republicans really woke up late, very late, to the threat of social media and what it does. And I think with another Trump term, these companies, if they didn't want to have legislation passed that would severely impede their chances of growing their businesses, they would have to realign the way they do business. They would have to change and become more and more, even-handed when it comes to dealing with liberals and conservatives. Under Biden, they don't have to worry about that. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to get their grip on the American public that much more. And I think for Republicans, 4 years from now, it's going to be so much harder to win because of everything that we're going to see in social media, because of all of the shadow banning, because of all of the kicking people out. All of that is going to play a huge impact in the next 4 years, and I think we're definitely going to see that for sure. And
I mean, we experience it on a very micro
level. We experience it all the time.
So
and that's part of the reason why now we're going to really start pushing our website and trying to do something there, because we're genuinely scared that we're just gonna one day they're gonna pull the plug on us, and then boom, no more YouTube, and no way to talk to you guys, no way to like do anything. So we'll definitely are figuring out a way to do have some kind of like a system in place, some kind of a platform where if we are kicked out of or banned or whatever, we want to make sure that we could still have this conversation with you guys. Because even now, we're still experiencing. We weren't live for like 2 weeks, and we haven't published anything for 2 weeks. And we're constantly experiencing. We had so many subscribers that were deleted from us.
Oh, thank you, Justin.
Justin, thank you so much. Thank you. Gotta bounce, ladies. Gotta make dinner like a good house husband. Homemade pizza for the win. Great to have you both back. Cheers.
Pizza. Everybody's talking about pizza today.
Yes.
Love it.
I love it. We're gonna have some pizza.
Bye, Justin. Until next
Thank you,
live.
Justin. Till next time. Thank you for the drink.
So here's another plug for our newsletter, houseofdemaj.com/stay up to date. We will update everybody on any new information that comes out or any new videos or anything that comes out. That's the best way, just in case if you're not getting notifications, because we are constantly getting people messaging us and be like, I did not get notified that you guys went live, you know. I mean, constantly we're getting emails, messages, and blah, blah, blah. So we thought the best way to combat it is by going old school.
Old school.
Go back to email.
Yes.
You know, hey, you know, it's probably the best.
So, yes. Okay, so hopefully, you know, hopefully we won't need to use it. Hopefully, you know, we'll be able to send you, like I said, I wrote an article. I love writing. Every once in a while I write a lot of articles that I don't send anywhere and they go nowhere. So it'd be fun to share it with you guys. But basically, hopefully, you know, we won't need it and we'll be able to do this, but we never know. And it definitely doesn't look good, I think, for conservatives on social media. And unfortunately, as much as people, you know, run to Parler and are leaving Twitter and Facebook and everything else, you know, Parler is just not there yet.
Yeah, still has its limitations.
Yeah, still has its limitations.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, well, you guys, our babies are actually staring at us for us to take them on a walk right now. So we are actually going to say goodbye. Shabbat Shalom. We hope everybody has a good weekend. And we will be here next Friday, next live.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This was really fun. It's been a while. It's been a couple of weeks. So we're a little rusty, but excited and happy and really glad to be back.
I feel like I'm falling apart a little bit.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, you know, we're back and you did really well, you know, given the difficulties that you had today. So thank you guys so much. Bye, everyone.
Oh,
and
thank you, everyone.
thank you guys so much
Amber,
for interacting.
Cher, Taylor,
Susan.
Annie.
Oh my gosh. Anka's asking anyone else missing notifications. Yeah, so check, first of all, Anka, check to see if you're subscribed, because I could tell you in the last 2 weeks, we have lost about a couple of hundred subscribers. And what's happening is we're gaining subscribers, and then they get deleted. So new ones, you know, subscribe, and then old ones literally get deleted, and we're constantly getting emails and messages of people. So we talk about this quite a bit. So if you're not getting notifications, check to see that you're still subscribed.
Make sure the notification bell is on all notifications.
And then hopefully you won't miss.
And if all else fails, newsletter.
Newsletter. There we go. Yes. So.
Okay, you guys. Well,
thank
Shabbat
you guys
Shalom.
So much.
And until next Friday.
Until next Friday. Bye for now.